Did you know that on an average, a human being consumes about 74 GB of data per day? That is equivalent to almost 16 movies. If you're considering that it's about 1 hour movie, 16 movies worth of content in a single day. Let's even assume that we're getting only 6 hours of sleep. That leaves us with 18 hours per day. That is just consumption. And what is this causing in our brains? Can you imagine if you were bombarded with information constantly, what would happen to your system? So much so that your entire brain and your mind space would be buzzing with information without an iota of idea of how to process that information. Why? It's because we've never given it the time to process that information. We've never given it a quiet moment where we can sit in reflection. Hi, I am Anusha. Welcome back to Mindfully Green. This week, we're going to talk about blank canvas and contemplation time. If you look deeply at the world that we live in today, we're living in the information era. We're living in a time when information is bombarded at us. The research that I just spoke about was actually coming from a 2009 research study done in the University of California, San Diego. And in the year 2009, it was 74 GB of data per day, equivalent to 16 movies per day worth content that we are consuming. We live today in 2025. That's almost close to a decade away, more than a decade away. So you can only imagine that this information consumption must have doubled, tripled its size by now. In a world where we're constantly sitting with our phones just scrolling, what happens is that we become less thinkers and more passive consumers. And I'm using these words very, very consciously, right? It's not active consumers, we are passive consumers of information. So what do I mean by passive consumers of information? Information is thrown our way and we're just passively consuming it, because actively consuming would mean that you're sitting in front of a laptop or your device, whichever is your entertainment device, be it the TV or the laptop or your phone, and you're waiting and engaging with that content, and then you're thinking about it, and then you're integrating it within yourself. But none of us are really doing that. We're consuming content on the go. We're in the car, we're scrolling. We're out shopping, we're scrolling. We're chilling on the sofa, and we're toggling between screens and we're scrolling. So we're not really fully even consuming the content that's coming our way. We're passively consuming the content. And the dangers of passive consumption is that our brain doesn't store all of the information. It stores bits and pieces of information within the system. So imagine in a period of, say, 12 to 24 hours, the bits and pieces of information that your brain is receiving without the time to even compile data together. Yes, it's a brain, it's a miracle working machine, but that doesn't mean that it's able to take on so much information and digest it and assimilate it. Which is why today we have cancel culture. Why is cancel culture so predominant in the world we live in today? It is because of the excessive consumption of information that we are in, where we have different threads of information from different zones, and our brain gets confused with all of it at a point of which we don't know what to take, what to leave, what belongs to us, what doesn't belong to us. We're also a generation that is struggling with enmeshment. Because of the constant consumption of information, we don't know what is really our thought versus what is a thought that is influenced by somebody else. In fact, I would even go out of the whim and say that very few people even understand what their original thought is. So today, I'm bringing you a beautiful thought experiment, if you can say so, inspired by Einstein. Einstein always brought these thought experiments. He didn't believe in just accepting data or accepting information as is until he put it in a thought experiment himself, tried it himself, and then saw how that works. So I'm bringing you the art of contemplation. This is one of the most key ways in which we can combat the stresses that our body feels. Let's take a simple analogy of war. When we're constantly scrolling through social media looking at war unfolding before our eyes, there's a certain sense of enmeshment that happens, and there's a certain sense of peer pressure and influence that happens that sends our nervous system in overwhelm, which makes us want to freeze, which makes us feel like the war is happening next door to us, which makes us feel like war is happening inside of us. And it wouldn't be wrong to say that it is, because your brain is constantly bombarded with information that you're not able to sit and think. So, what is the best way to contemplate on this? What is the best way to combat this? Is through contemplation. So many of us talk about, from our childhood, we've heard people say, think, focus, pay attention. But is anybody even teaching us the art of think, focus, pay attention? Nobody is really teaching us that. And the secret to that actually lies in the art of contemplation. To give yourself white spaces during the day, blank canvases during the day, where you can just sit and get bored, where you can just sit and think about something that you've read or something that you've seen or something that you've perceived, and go down that rabbit hole and see what is underneath that, what's coming up from that, what else is coming up through that. That is what thought experiments are. That is what contemplation is. To spend some time in your day where you're able to assimilate the information that has been dumped your way. So imagine we would move from being just passive listeners towards becoming thought leaders. What is the one thing that sets thought leaders apart from the rest? Is their ability to actually grasp information, retain information, integrate that information, make it their own wisdom, and then bring that wisdom transmission. These are thought leaders. They think about things that nobody has ever come up with. Like I said, Einstein and his thought experiments, or Steve Jobs and his walking meetings, right? He does this thing called walking meetings, where they're walking and they're having a meeting, where they're able to connect with nature, and there's somatic movement that's happening through these meetings itself. Or, for example, Stoic journaling is another great way to contemplate. It's an art of contemplation. If we're able to bring these small little changes with breath, with movement, with somatic practices, with Stoic journaling, or just taking 10 minutes of blank canvas time during your day, can drastically shift your life and drastically shift your way of thinking, the way of processing information. And that's when you're put in a better state to see, okay, this is the information coming my way. These sentences align with me. These I don't align with me, so I can just let it be. And these I definitely know that it has no backing to it, so I can just completely let it go. We don't become passionate and tie our identity to a piece of information like we're seeing in the world today. People are tying their identity to a piece of information that they would defend it even without really looking deeper into it or even thinking about it. So this is what I'm here to combat this week, and I have a beautiful practice designed for you where we will be walking through a 15-minute practice of thinking, giving expansion for thought, what I'm calling white space or blank canvas, the art of contemplation. So I hope you enjoy this experiment and let me know your thoughts on how this goes. I would highly recommend you do it at least 2 to 3 times this week and see how it feels, how expansive it feels in your being. And if you have anything else that's coming up for you from this thought experiment as reflections, as just general thoughts, drop it down in the comments below and I would love to see it. I will be putting a description down below which will give you the timestamp of where the meditation starts. So the next time you tune into this, you can just straightforward jump to the timestamp of the meditation. Hello and welcome back to Mindfully Green. I'm Anusha and I'm excited to walk you through the blank canvas today. Blank canvas or blank spaces or empty canvas is a method of art of contemplation. It's a means by which you can just sit and allow for yourself to organize your thoughts and take what belongs to you and what feels aligned and leave the rest behind. It's a way of creating space within your mind. It's expansive, really. So I'm excited for you to experience this and tell me how it goes for you. This meditation does not require for you to keep your eyes closed. If you want to, you certainly can. But this is also a mindfulness practice that you can do with your eyes open as you're walking in a park or somewhere out in nature, or even as you're walking around your house or your office space. So I'm going to invite you now to take a deep breath. Just pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Feel that expansiveness in your chest. Let's do that again. Inhale and exhale. Let's do that one more time. This time allowing for your whole body to shake, like as if you were dropping off all that stress that's been held on in the body. Take a deep breath. And as you're exhaling, shake your body off. Whew, that felt good. Now as you're looking around you, I want you to take in your surrounding, wherever you're at. Take a moment to observe everything that is there around you. Be it at home, be it at work, or maybe out in nature. I want you to really consume your surrounding, your environment. And as you're doing that, take a deep breath. And exhale. And now I want you to notice what in your surrounding, your immediate environment is grabbing your attention. And I want you to fix your gaze at that particular object. It could be a tree, it could be an object, it could be a picture, it could be a quote, it could be something on a screen, it could be the color of a fabric, it could be the color of the leaf, it could be a texture. Anything that is grabbing your attention in this moment, I want you to fix your gaze on it. The art of contemplation is deeply linked to the art of focusing and defocusing. So let's focus into this, like zero in on it intently. Whatever object you fixed your gaze at, I want you to really observe it. Observe the details of it. Notice its color, its texture, the shape, the size. Notice the background. Notice every single piece of information that you can gather from it. Really just focusing at the micro details that you recognize. Now gently I want you to begin to defocus. Defocusing is the art of losing focus, like the image becomes slightly blurry. Allow for yourself to look at the image and look at the object, but really look through the object with the outlines kind of getting blurry. And as you're looking at that object, details blurring out, just notice the abstract shape that it forms. Without details, just the abstract shape that it forms. And what is your brain perceiving as information through that abstract shape? I want you to take a deep breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now, as you're looking at that object, as it's blurring, I want you to ask your brain, your intellect, your intelligence, what information am I gathering from this object? What am I learning from this object? What am I learning from this observation of this object? Maybe you're learning a little about texture, maybe you're learning about the way light hits, maybe you're learning about something very precious in life. Maybe you're learning just to slow down. Allow for your mind to reveal to you what is it that you are learning in this moment by this quiet, peaceful observation. And I'm going to give you a minute of silence here. Just keep breathing as you're zoning out at that object. Now take a deep breath, inhale, exhale. And I want you to gently ask yourself, what are the thoughts that have been occupying space a lot right now in my headspace? What are the thoughts that are dominating my mind space in the moment? The thoughts that might be cluttering your mind, that might be taking up a lot of space in your head. And allow for yourself to let these thoughts come up. Witness these thoughts. Again, you don't necessarily need to close your eyes for this one. You can keep your eyes open, zoned out in contemplation, and let the thoughts emerge naturally. Acknowledge every thought and let it float. Think of it like a thought vipassana. You're neither happy about the thought, nor are you sad about the thought, nor do you want to pay attention or action towards the thought. You're just allowing it to float into your mind space. You're witnessing it and letting it go like clouds in the sky. No cloud is permanent. So taking a moment to let these thoughts float across in the sky of your mind. Now, as you do that, I want you to notice which of these thoughts are really yours and which of these are just information that's floating around in your head. Information that you've seen, information that you've read, information that somebody shared with you, information that you heard in passing. Allowing for yourself to distinguish between your original thoughts and thoughts that are floating around in the environment that you're in, either through people or through social media or through billboards. Just allowing for yourself to recognize the difference. Think of this as segregating the closet, segregating what's yours and what isn't. Now, as you do that, I want you to take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. This time around, I want you to see what is the thought that you want to plant in your head. A thought that is original, that's coming up authentically in your heart center, in your mind space, in your intellect, in your body, in your being. What is that original thought that is arising for you in this moment as wisdom in your body? An inspiring thought, a word of wisdom, words of encouragement, maybe an idea, maybe a desire. And I want you to take a moment to really sow that seed in your mind space. I want you to visualize feeding, nurturing and nourishing that seed, watering that seed of intention, watering that thought that you have, that natural thought that you have, that empowering thought that's coming up. And as you do that, I want you to feel into your whole body, the silence, the pause within your whole body. Take a deep breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. This is a beautiful exercise for you to recognize that which is yours and that which isn't, to nourish that which is yours, that which is original, that's authentic, that's empowering, and to dump the thoughts that aren't yours, that are causing agitation, that are causing you to move away from your light, that's causing you to move away from your authenticity. You can simply dump those thoughts out of your brain space, making up a space of expansion that I'd like to call blank canvas. Now, this blank canvas is for you to paint whatever you'd like to paint. This blank canvas is for you to get creative with, for you to become a thought leader, for you to script original thoughts, inspiring thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed this experience. I'm gonna ask you to gently just stretch your whole body out. Take a deep breath. Just notice how good that feels in your system. I hope the blank canvas gets filled with beautiful, radiant, inspiring thoughts and abstract art. Let me know how this meditation goes for you. I'm curious to hear. This is Anusha signing off. I'll meet you next week again with yet another beautiful thought experiment. Until then, goodbye. Shri Matre Namaha. So that's it from me. If you've liked this, if you've been enjoying my content, please make sure to support me by subscribing to my channel, by liking this and sharing it with a friend who you feel has become a passive content consumer, and help bring him or her back into their inner self of contemplation. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week.